All right, on this channel, we have installed CachyOS, Linux Mint, Arch, and now it's time for Fedora. Are you ready for this one? Let's go ahead. Let's dive into it. So first things first, we're going to do is we're going to go to Google Chrome. We're going to open this up. You can use whatever web browser you use. On Windows, I use Google Chrome. Actually, on Linux, I use Google Chrome also. It's great for content creation because YouTube is Google. And anyways, so we're going to go to Rufus.ie and press enter. All right, we're going to scroll down through all of the wonderful advertisements. We're going to find the first one here on the list, says standard Windows x64. We're going to click that to download it. It's going to go ahead and download here in just a second. There we go. All right, and then the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to do Fedora project.org. And that's going to bring us over here to Fedora. And then we're going to scroll down and click KDE Plasma. And then we're going to click download. All right. And then what we're looking for is Intel AMD x86-64 systems. We're going to click this download button here. And then once that's done downloading, we'll go ahead and continue from where we leave off. All right. And now that's downloaded. So we can go ahead and close out of our web browser. We're going to come down here to File Explorer. We're going to go to Downloads. And we're going to double click on Rufus. Click Yes. It may ask you if you want to download the most recent version. You can just click no to that. That's perfectly fine. Then what we're going to do is we're going to need a lovely USB device. This drive should be empty. This is going to be a drive that is going to be erased and replaced with the disk image that is the Fedora Linux installer. So if this has any important information, now is the time to back it up. This is also a great opportunity to back up anything that's on your computer that you don't want to lose. Put it on another drive. Put it onto a USB drive somewhere or an external hard drive. Back it up. Because we're doing Windows as a dual boot with this situation, that doesn't mean that Windows can't be damaged during the installation process. Things go wrong all the time. So make sure that you have backups. If you didn't have a backup of it and something happened, I'm sorry, there's not much that I can do for you. All right, we're going to go ahead and plug in our USB drive. I'm going to plug it into my little dock here. It shows this 32 gig drive that had our Arch install from our Arch install video. We're going to go to boot selection. It's going to say disk or ISO image. If it says anything else, you're on the wrong one. Disk or ISO image. We're going to click select and we're going to go to downloads and Fedora KDE Desktop Live 42. Yours might say a different version. It just depends on when you wind up coming across this video. Click open. We're going to leave everything else alone. If you want to rename it, you're more than welcome to rename it. There's no need for us to rename it though. And then we're going to go ahead and click start. This image you've selected as a hybrid image. We're going to go ahead and do it as an ISO image. An ISO image provides the ability for any free space after this, installer is put onto it. You can still use the rest of the drive. If you do a DD, that just goes off and writes the entire, destroys the disk or however else you want to say it. It makes it to where only that installer is there. We're going to leave it as an ISO mode. Click OK. Says some warning about image uses a grub, non-standard GDI. Just click yes. And then it's going to give you this warning saying that it's going to destroy everything on your drive. You've been warned. If there's anything valuable, you should have backed it up. Go ahead and press OK. And then we're going to go ahead and let that run. While we let that run, we're going to come over here to the start menu. We're going to go ahead and type in disk manager. All right. Create and format hard disk partitions. Okay. So in this particular situation, we want to keep our C drive. That's what it should be installed to as long as you haven't made any changes. If we click C, it'll bring it to right here. We'll see this little hash one, right? That's just showing which one's selected. We're going to go ahead and right click and do properties. In my situation, it's a Kingston 240 gig that my Windows install is on. You're going to want to make sure that you don't erase that. Any of the other drives on your system, if you haven't packed up anything, if you're like me and you have 12 million disks, you need to know which one you're going to install to. I'll show you once we get into the installer a little bit of information to help you identify that disk. All right, so we're going to let this run. And once this installer is, or this drive is finished being made, we'll go ahead and continue on from there. All right, and that took 4 minutes and 47 seconds to run. Not too long. So what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to close out all of this. We're going to go over to the start menu. We're going to click start. We're going to click power, and we're going to hover over restart. Hold on to the shift key. Sometimes this works, sometimes this doesn't. And keep holding that shift key. If for some reason this doesn't work for me or for you, right up there, I have a nice little graph that shows the boot menu key for most common motherboards, as well as the BIOS UEFI button. All right, so we're going to click use a device, and we're going to look for my USB. Well, my USB decided that it didn't want to show up in here. That's not the end of the world. So for me, my computer, it's F12 for AORS gigabit. Yours is likely going to be different. It's going to be somewhere right up there. I'll put it in there. Post video mode, I'll do that. If you have an Asus machine, it's going to be F8. If you have a HP computer, it's F10. Kind of get the idea. Like all of these motherboard manufacturers use different options. Alrighty. So I'm going to select my USB drive. This is going to be mine. Yours might say SanDisk. Yours might say something else. If it worked inside of the Windows environment where we were holding that shift and we use a device, it'll show up as like SanDisk or USB disks, things like this. So this way you can boot into it. Unfortunately, that's one of those things where it's not cookie cutter. So you're going to run into a little bit of trouble, but that's okay. Alrighty, so we're going to go ahead and press an arrow key, and we're going to click continue boot. Alrighty, so here we are in the grub menu for KDE Fedora. We have start KDE, Fedora KDE desktop live environment, or desktop live, or test this media and start Fedora. You're going to want to run test this media. By running test this media, it's going to go through and do a checksum to make sure that everything is correct on the drive. So this way we're not installing a operating system that has a corrupted file. We shouldn't have any issues, but downloading from the internet and creating a USB drive can have its ups and downs. It just happens from time to time. All right, and here we are. We're in the live environment. So one of the things with the live environment is kind of try before you buy. There's only so much space that is actually available when it comes to doing that. But you can try before you buy, so you can kind of see like some of the stuff that exists. The best way, though, to do this, like, okay, here we go. Discover. If we go into the Discover app, we can actually look up things that we're looking for. So if we wanted to use like Google Chrome, right? I am typing Chrome on the wrong thing. Here we go. All right. So we can actually look for Google Chrome. Why is it not doing that? Come on. There we go. So if we type in Chrome, then we can see that there is going to be things like Google Chrome that we can install. If we want to see Discord, we can see that there's Discord. It doesn't show all of them. Oh, it doesn't want to show that Discord's even there. But it's kind of just a live environment, kind of a try before you buy. Does this look like something that you wanna use? But we're gonna assume that we want to use this because this is a video, and this is what we're doing in the video. All right, so anyways, we're going to go ahead and click install to hard drive. It's going to put the load together. And then once it launches it, we have this lovely thing here. You can select your language. So English, there's multiple types of English. We're going to go with the United States. Click continue. And then we're going to go ahead and installation disk. This is going to be the disk that I install to. The reason why I know that is because if we look here, it says NVMe 0N1. That's going to be the top NVMe slot, because I have 2 slots on my motherboard. It's going to be the top NVMe slot on my motherboard where I'm going to be able to install everything. So then we have our bottom, because I have 2, NVMe 1N1. This is where all of my Steam games are loaded onto, so this way I can easily swap straight into being able to play video games without having to re-download everything, because Steam scans for everything that I need. And then the rest of them are just different drives that I have for, like, my Rust storage drive is right here, which it's just a spinning Rust drive. This is our Kingston drive that has our Windows install. And then this is another backup drive for videos and different audio files that I use. And then this is a spare drive for installing for more tutorials that I want to do in the future. So that's how we do that. If we go ahead and click done, it's going to tell us that we need to reclaim space. This is pretty cut and dry. We just need to erase that disk. So we're going to go ahead and click reclaim space, and we're going to click delete all. Make sure that this is something that you're okay with deleting everything that is on that drive, because it's going to be lost. All right. If you're not doing a dual boot system, you can just go ahead and just wipe out your Windows disk and move on from there. Root account. We're going to not use the root account. You can get yourself in some trouble when it comes to the root account. Largely, you don't need access to that. That's why the sudo command exists. And then user creation. We're going to go ahead and create the user. Unlike our Arch install video, this actually allows us to do capitals. So our name is going to display as moid with my capital letters. In Fedora, it does allow for you to set a password or to not require a password. That also means with your super user access, right? So if you're typing in something that requires root to do something for you, so sudo super user do, and then installing things like Steam or Discord, this will also remove the need for that password. So keep that in mind, especially if you have other people in your household that, want to use that computer as well. So press OK. And also not something I advise if it's a laptop that you're going to take out with you, because then people have access to all of your information that's on that computer. All right. And then just click begin installation, and it's going to do the installation. It's really quick. It takes like 5-10 minutes. So we'll be back once that's done, and we'll get to doing some gaming. All right, and we're done. That's the entire installation process. We're going to go ahead and click finish here. We can go ahead and close out of this, and we can go ahead and restart our computer. Restart now. Now it should go off and load directly into Windows, and we'll see if that happens. All right, so it's going to go ahead and refresh and load here. And here we go. Oh, alrighty. So Windows Boot Manager. Grub automatically found it. So that should load us into our Windows environment. We're going to show that the Windows environment actually functions because, well, mistakes were made on one of the streams, which resulted in Windows being completely destroyed and ruining a video, because the point is that you can be able to get into Windows. So that worked. We're going to go ahead and restart real quick, and then I'm going to, from here, from Windows, if you ever want to do this, if you still do that holding restart and you select your install, in my situation it's Fedora, unless I selected the wrong one. We'll find out. And there we go. So now we're presented with some options here. We have the Fedora, and then we have the rescue or fallback kernel option for Fedora Linux. We're just going to boot into the regular standard desktop environment. All right, and now we're here. Now I opted to not have a password, so if you just press enter, it'll take you straight in. All right. You can go ahead and read through the welcome thing. All you have to do is type in welcome and it'll come up. So this is our environment. Now, Control-Alt-T. We're inside of Fedora Linux. Fedora Linux is not a rolling release that's compiled from the actual repositories like it is with Arch Linux. So we're going to have to actually do an update to this. We're going to do sudo dnf update. Right. There we go. We're going to let that run. This is normal. That curl error is normal. All right, we're going to go ahead and press Y. So this way we can install those updates. And once those updates are done, we'll be right back. All right, it's going to pop up with another option. You're going to press Y to continue and press enter and just let it keep running through some updates. All right, so everything is installed. I really need to fix that me saying so garbage. Here we go. Let's go back into the terminal. We're going to go ahead and install Steam. When it comes to Fedora, the command for installing something is going to be DNF. That's the package manager. So in Arch Linux, it was Pacman for package manager. DNF is the repository option for doing that. So sudo DNF install Steam. Oh, wait, give me a second. I forgot to do something. Let me double.
Hey, Rifters. This part of the video is where it gets a little rough. Moidy decided to cut this segment for the sake of brevity, but also wanted to own up to the error. So he's having a narrator, that's me, help out. Now, while he's been using Fedora for the last 6 months and absolutely loves it, constantly hopping between distros does lead to, let's call them, learning opportunities. I think humans refer to it as forgetting. He would have re-recorded this part, but since he temporarily lost his fragile little human voice, he's asked me to step in. All right, first thing we're going to do is enable RPM Fusion using the command you see on screen. Next, we'll run a command to allow repo configurations. And finally, we'll install Steam. Now back to Moidy, fueled by caffeine, guided by muscle memory, and haunted by the ghost of a terminal error past. He's got one eye on the command history and the other also on the command history. Let's see what breaks next.
All right, so now that we're done with that part, the next thing that's very important to us is sudo dnf install Discord. Please have that. There we go. Now we're set. Okay, so really quick, this automatically comes with Flatpak installed, unlike inside of Arch Linux. So from here, we could actually just also install Discord. You can do VLC through here. You have to enable different repositories. I always forget.
Oh Lord, he's gone too far. The thing he forgot? It wasn't arcane. It wasn't even complicated. It was one line, just one command. All he had to do was run it, and boom, back to the races he'd be. But in fairness to our helpless meatbag, he only had to install it twice, because Fedora is just that stable. So here's to hoping that video 2 goes smoother, and that the terminal finally stops laughing at him.
But you do have options like having Chromium web browser or VLC. If you want to install Chromium, we can do it through that. There's a security benefit to installing web browsers through Flatpaks, which we can go into in the second video on Fedora. If we want to remove that horrible, ugly little fox that's down there in our bottom left-hand corner, though, we can do sudo dnf remove Firefox and click yes, and we can just remove Firefox, and it's gone as soon as we close this. And then we can go over here and type Chromium. Oh, shoot. Forgot. We do need to leave a log out. There we go. Oh, always something fun. I like to leave bloopers in, though. Instead of them being bloopers, they're just part of the experience. All right, here we go. Why? Why are you doing this to me? Install Fedora. There we go. Did relogging provide that? Nope, it didn't. There we go. All right, now we have Chromium right here. You can decide which one you want for your encryption. But there we go. Now we have Chromium installed. The same thing should happen for Chrome. Let's go ahead. Internet. And we'll go into a deep dive with that. So let's see. I think that's all that we need. Let's go ahead and launch Steam. Because our end goal with these first videos is just getting to the point where we can play video games, right? Sudo dnf install Mango HUD. All right. Press yes. And then we'll install that. I'll go ahead and get logged into Steam, and we'll be back to continue this video once we're there. And I'm just making a list for video 2 so I can show people how to enable those things. All right, so we're here in Steam. We're going to go to Steam here at the top, go to settings, and we're going to go down to compatibility, and we're going to enable for all other titles. What that means is, by all other titles, is there are games like Don't Starve and let's see, Stardew Valley and Inscription that are native to Linux, meaning that they were written with Linux in mind. Other games like Lethal Company, No Man's Sky, Pacific Drive, Phasmophobia, stuff like that are not. So this will actually make a enable a compatibility layer through Proton that will allow for you to be able to play those games. And it just converts the Windows environment to being able to function inside of Linux. All right, we have that compatibility mode up. I already have some games installed to my Steam drive, which is something that we can go into in a future video. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to right click on this, go to properties, and beforehand I had installed Mango HUD. What Mango HUD does is it allows for a FPS counter, CPU, and GPU usage to be up in the top left-hand corner. You can set it to go into different spots inside of its settings, but I like using it because it's nice and big and bold versus just using the Steam built-in one. So I'm going to go ahead and add Mango HUD space %, command %. And that is going to allow for when this particular game runs to show the FPS counter at the top. We're going to go ahead and click play. And I'm going to show you some of the performance that happens inside of Fedora. Just so this way you kind of see what you're looking at. I don't have a completely weak computer. I'm running off of a Ryzen 5600X with a AMD 6700. So I've got a little bit more, pushing than, some people might have. But if you've got a decent computer, this is roughly like what you're going to be looking at as far as your gaming performance. GPU usage, don't be too concerned about that. That's usually going to be pinned somewhere around 100%. It just happens. But Subnautica is a great game to kind of show off that performance of how everything kind of functions in Linux, especially because it's not a native Linux game. So we're running through that Proton layer as well. So we're looking at CPU usage at about 38% or so, as well as 130. So we're going to be ranging between 90 and like 130 FPS with this game. So, your performance though may vary. Some games function really well underneath Proton, others not so well. But this is kind of where we're at. We still have Windows functioning just fine. We're able to play games inside of Linux, and we can move from there. So this video also allowed me to realize that there's some things that I need to look into for part 2. So keep an eye out for it. I got you to the point where you're able to play video games and we're able to communicate with friends through Discord. So that's where we're at for right now. If you have any problems or any questions, hop into our Discord. We're there to help. There's just a section that's specifically Linux related, and you can pop on in there and friends can answer questions for you. Nobody's paid to be there, so do be prepared that, you know, it might be faster sometimes to just Google the answer. But we're always there and happy to help. We'll see you guys in the next one. Don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button. It's free. And leave a like on this video if you liked it. Thank you very much for watching, and don't be afraid to dive on into the Rift.